और फिर उसके बाद तुम देखना उसके अंदर, उसके हिसाब से अपन ग्रुप में जो अलग अलग सॉर्ट आउट कर रहा है, तो कुछ लोगों को दूसरे ग्रुप में डाला और ये ग्रुप में से निकाल दिया। वो लड़की थी ना, उसको निकाल दिया ग्रुप में से, और वो दूसरे लोग के निकाल दे रहा मैं।
वो
तो
लड़की भी
उनको
नॉन
अलग अलग।
टेक्निकल थी ना?
हाँ
वो लड़की भी नॉन टेक्निकल थी ना?
हाँ हाँ। तो उसको बहुत ही ज्यादा जरूरत थी, एकदम एबीसीडी की ज्यादा जरूरत थी, तो फिर मैंने उसको दूसरे ग्रुप में डाला।
अच्छा।
केमिस्ट्री वाली थी एक लड़की उसके साथ वाली, तो गर्ल्स को कैसा, गर्ल्स के हिसाब से डाला मैंने। तो तुम्हारे को है ना एक फ्रेशर है, उसके साथ ही ऐड करने का सोच रहा हूँ मैं। तो अपने को एक दो लोग भी रहे तो चलता है, प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर मेन क्या है, अपने लेवल के ही बंदे रहना चाहिए तो फिर मजा आता।
हाँ वही ना।
नहीं तो वो एकदम एडवांस है और तुम एकदम बेसिक है, तो फिर मैं तो मेरे लेवल पे पढ़ाऊंगा, पर किसी एक का नुकसान हुआ तो, है क्या नहीं?
हाँ बराबर है।
तो अपन क्या करते हैं, प्लान करते हैं, मैंने रिकॉर्डिंग का दे दिया तुमको।
हाँ किया, मैंने स्टार्ट किया।
हाँ चालू कर देगी, चलो ठीक है। मैं स्क्रीन शेयर करता हूँ, इंग्लिश में रखना पड़ेगा। So we today we need to see the chapter called function. Okay, in
सब फॉन्ट
function,
फॉन्ट बढ़ा के तो
हाँ हाँ
बस बस बस।
हाँ। So in function we have different things. Chapter function. In function we have two modules. One is basic function, the fundamental of that function, and advanced function. So today we will see basic functions. In that we have few things which is very important for us. They are category of function, and types of functions. Basically there are different types, so the types of function we have here, and category of functions, and the parts of functions, we have parts of functions. Okay, so these things we have, and here we have one another concept called uh, pass by value and reference, and pass by reference. So today we will see these three topics in basic function, four topics. First of all, I'll go to why we need to, what is function. Also, one another topic, fifth one, function. What is function basically, and its needs. So let's start with function and its needs. So what is function? Function is basically a set of statements. Set of statement. Statement can be whatever we learn. It can be IO statement, or it can be a conditional statement, or it can be a iterative statement. You can say loop statement. It can be an expression. So this is called a set of statement or expression is called a function. So this is the definition of that function. Why we need this function? Needs is basically to reduce the code writing, to reduce code. We use for reducing the code. How we can reduce? To call multiple times. To call multiple times of function block, which is written in in block. So basically, this is the purpose of a function need. Now we'll see parts of function, how we can write a function, and how many parts are there. So basically, there are few parts are there. One is called function definition of function, and another is called function calling. Now, function definition is basically in which we will write a code, and we will use a def keyword and then function name. Whatever we have function, that function name we will specify here, and then arguments. Arguments can be one or more than one. So I'll write s in this bracket. That means it can be one or it can be more than one argument. So here we have statements, basically statements we will write here, or it can be an expression we can write here. And then last keyword we will use as return, then variable, value or variable here. So this is the part of how we can write definition. In this format we can write a definition of function. So here this is the return part is basically optional. So the optional is in notation, we will use this symbol. For optional we will use this symbol. And now remember one thing, this is the function definition syntax. This is called syntax or format of writing the function definition. So this is one thing. And another thing is what function definition should one time mandatory. One time mandatory it is there. You cannot skip this function definition basically. Why? Because at least one time you need to write a function definition, at least one time. And always you cannot create function or define function multiple times. Remember, this is the rule: define function multiple times. You can mute yourself. So basically we have these things. Remember definition. In definition, one time mandatory we need to write, and we cannot define function multiple times. This is also very important rule. And the function name, another rule is what? The function name should not be reserved. It should not be reserved, or you cannot say, you can say keyword like a function name, a valid function name definition. Example I will give you. Examples of name are a valid function name is def abc and a, that's it. So here you will write return and the value of a plus 2 something. So this is valid. And invalid function name, how we can write invalid function, how it can be invalid? If and then a, this is invalid. Why? Because here if is a keyword where we use for condition checking, right? So you cannot use any name here which is already a keyword or having some meaning in language. So that name you cannot use this. Whereas you can use different name like which is not reserved, and it's like a variable name, you can use it. Even single character also is possible. Here if I write x is also possible, but you should not use name which is reserved. One thing. Another rule is what when we define a function, in function uh, function name, especially function name, should not have space. Remember, should not have space at the time of writing a function name. So suppose this is my function name. If you have, then you cannot write like this function name. Why? Because this is not allowed space, is not allowed in function definition. Remember, so you can use underscore or another symbol, but you cannot use empty space. So this is not allowed. This is one thing. And now we'll go to function calling. In function calling, we can this is basically function calling. It's optional part. Whether you want or not, it is up to you. Optional part. So you can write it or you can skip it, no problem. But you can call multiple times function definition, multiple times function calling. Remember, this is the important thing. Function calling can be done in multiple times. Like example, if I create one function here, I can call multiple times, 10 times, 5 times, 3 times, 2 times, like that I can do it. So the definition of function or you can say syntax of function or format of function calling is, we'll use here a function return value, return variable, which will hold the return value. Whether if your function is returning some value, you should hold the value and then equal to the function name, whatever you have function name, and then the argument. Argument, that means you can specify either variable, or you can specify a value or any expression. Okay. You can specify anything. Example, like this, in this case, example is what we have function return type. So I will store result equal to, my function name is abc, so I'll write abc and I'll pass 10. Like this is correct example, or else r1 is equal to abc, and then 10 plus 2 multiply by 3. Like this also is one type of function calling. So in this case, we are writing expression and we are passing the value. And here we are passing only function value. And another case is what we have. That suppose we can use like this also, result equal to ABC, and then here we will specify variable value. So we need to define variable first. So I'm defining a equal to 10, and then I can pass like this. So we can use either variable, here we use a, or else we can use value. So here I'm using value, or expression, that means this one. Expression is also possible here, remember. So this is the things we need to remember, and this is called function part. Function parts, there are two parts of function. One is function definition and function calling. Function definition and function calling is we saw some rules and regulation for that. Now we will move to function category, function types. In function types of function is what, there are two types of function, remember. There are two types of function. What are they? Sorry, four types of function we have. They are, function is divided based on, function is divided based on, basically divided based on arguments, how many arguments we have, and return value, return type. Yes, arguments and return value. Example, a function can have one argument or it can have multiple argument, right? So suppose this is my function f1. In that I'll define my function def f1, and I'm not passing any value, only just writing some statements here. That's it. So this is called function with no argument. This is one category type. Type is what? Uh, Type is basically function with no argument. Here we don't have argument, and no return type. A function with no argument and no return type. Another function category type is with argument we have and no return type. Return type. So this is the thing. Suppose here no argument, no return type. Okay. Here we have argument, no return type. So example, same def f2, and then I need to pass some argument. I'm passing some argument and then statements. That's it. So this is called function with argument and no return type. Now another one is what? Here we'll take one example instead of writing statement. Welcome. And A and R. And here we have argument, so we are passing this A and R, and then A. And third one is function with no argument and return type. So no argument, return type we have here. So how we will write def f3, and then bracket, we don't have any argument, so we will not specify any argument, and we should return some types. I'm returning 10 plus multiply by any expression you can write, or you can write any variable value like this. So another one is what? Function with argument also and return type, both is possible. Argument and return type. So in this case, we have a function, this f4, and some arguments we can pass one or more than one, no problem. And then colon, and then here we will pass some value, 8 multiplied by 3. So whatever the value is coming here, it will increase by multiplied by 3. So this is called function with argument and return type. So this is the function types of functions. In that we will see how many types of we can write a function. Now there are two categories divided by function. Those are, one is called function category. In function category, what are the categories we have here? We have two categories. One is user defined category, a function which is defined by user, and another category called predefined category. In predefined category, we will, here in this case, user defined category, we will create a function, this definition plus calling is up to us. We will do both things, remember. Whereas in predefined category, we only have opportunity to use this function, that is calling. Calling is only possible here. Example here we return def abc and then some argument. So this is, here I'm writing some argument and writing some value. Okay, and here after writing this thing, what I will do, I'll use function definition, right? Function calling, this is definition abc directly. So this is user defined function. Whereas in predefined function, we never use dir or type and then bracket integer or some value. We can specify some value. Okay. So here in this case, type is, we are calling, we are just calling function type, but we are not defining like def type like this. So this is called predefined function, which is already defined. Like another example, re.search. Re.search. In this case, re is our object name and search is our function name. So this is called method and this is called function. Why? Because it is called by object, and whereas it is called by directly method. Method is called by directly. So here this is the difference, and here we will pass some arguments and then close it. So this is function calling. Only in predefined function category of function we have only function calling. Remember, whereas in definition we have only function definition. We have definition as well as function calling. Both is possible. Now we have another topic called pass by value and reference. So for this case, what we have, basically we need to write a code for that, and we'll use simple function. And in this case, we will use one example. I'll take one example. Let's try with one example here. So I'll just make so in function pass by value and pass by reference. Pass by value and pass by reference. Remember, pass by value or reference is based on some parameter. This is all based on your argument. It is based on argument. What argument you are passing and how you are treating inside that function definition. So this is very important. Example, what we will do, we will create a function def any function name, append list, some name I return. For better understanding, I give a name as what actually I need, or num. Okay, num is my object collection. So this is called reference, pass by reference. So in this case, if I am passing li dot append, this is very important line. this append will try to update inside this num. Now this num, whenever we are passing this nums, suppose this is my a num equal to and some value 0. So now when I'm trying to call append list, and then I'll pass a num, and then I try to print this value a num. So what I will get, I'll get both values, whatever the value what I specify here, and append with this number. So here the output is 0 comma whatever we specified. Like example, here I'm specifying suppose 10. So here in this case I'll get both values 0 and 10. This is called pass by reference. The reference is not released. Remember, the reference is not released. It will directly use when we use append method. So append is a technique in which the list or whatever we have here, suppose we have here num. So this num, if we specify with append, so it will not remove the previous value. Remember, so a num is one variable. In that case, this variable, if we pass this a num, so it already have one value. Which value it have? 0. So when we write a num and pass this value to this function, so num contains 0. Remember, num contains 0. When you apply with append, what happen? It will add this 0 with 10. So whole property will come again to here. So in this case, when we try to access this collection again, so this time it will give you appended value plus previous value, that means 0 and 10. So we'll get here output as 0 and 10. Two values we'll get here. This is called pass by reference. In that case, the reference will go to this object, and based on reference it will change the value. So this is one case in which it will affect to existing collection. So same thing, the technique, if I try to use the technique called equal to, instead of writing this thing is equal to, it is called pass by value. So whole value will pass here, and that whole value will store in this collection. Remember how? I'll show you. In pass by value case, what happened? We have concept called in that def, we will write assign value. Remember, assigning value, that means you are deleting previous value and adding new value. So here this is my collection, and here I am adding some value 2 comma 3. Consider now in this case, if I am passing my a num, any variable you can say, or b num, and here I am passing suppose 10. So when I call this function assign value, and I pass my variable collection name b num, and then bracket close. So this time what happened, when I try to display b num, it will display me 2 comma 3. Remember why? Because it lost that value, and it will store these values. So this is called pass by value. Getting my point? Any doubt, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so this is called pass by value. So what we see today, we saw the concept called basic function, in that function and its needs, parts of function, types of function, and category of function, pass by value and pass by reference. Still, if we have doubt, we will again take this session again. Okay,
Okay.
now you can stop recording.
Yes, sir.